Hello guys, welcome to my channel Jura Tempest Federation. This video contains spoilers from the Tensura light novel, as manga is currently catching up with Tensura light novel Volume 10, so we will continue with Tensura light novel Volume 11 Chapter 2, New Companions. But before we proceed, please like, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell for further updates. That demon crossed the border like a strong gust of wind, devastating this evil realm. Crossing the gate of hell, he arrived at a spiritual world, which could be called hell, or the nether realm. He became the symbol of violence, slaughtering powerful demons along the way. The weaker demons had already fled, while the strong grouped up to battle him. But to him, this was merely a meaningless struggle of the weak. He destroyed his enemies in a flawless fashion, crushing them with ease. Demons were spiritual life forms. That's why, even if their bodies were to be destroyed, they would self-restore, and over time, resurrect once again. Perhaps it was due to knowledge of this facet that he obliterated his foes without mercy. The fearsome personification of violence, this demon was named Diablo. Kufufufufu. It has been a long time since I returned. Looks like a bunch of scum is squatting the place. There's no use in collecting these weaklings. I must hurry and see my old friends. These old friends were even capable of rivaling the strength of Diablo. The goal of his expedition was to recruit these people. Kufufufufu. If it's those guys, Rimuru-sama would surely be pleased. After saying so, Diablo teleported away from the location without a trace, only leaving behind the remains of meaningless fools who knew not of Diablo's power. After inspecting the construction in person, I was able to understand the current situation. The laying of tracks for the Magi train was far from complete. We still had a lot of work left, namely, laying the track between the Dwarven Kingdom and Tempest, between Tempest and Blumund, constructing a road between Blumund and Farmenas, and creating the road that started from the Dwarven Kingdom and went south to Eurazania via Sisu Lake, which was ruled by the Lizardmen. We still had to finish building the road connecting Blumund to Sarion. We also needed to open a tunnel through the Kashia Mountains. Only after these plans were complete could the railways be laid down. We must be mentally prepared for long-term construction efforts. Furthermore, I really wanted to lead the route to the coastline soon, so we could provide sea products at a cheap price. We also planned to establish a main railway line between the Kingdom of Blumund and Ingratia. Now that I was considering all of these new connections, it would take some time before the whole traffic network could be considered fully operational. We also couldn't forget about the development of the trains. Since the prototype had been completed, we had jumped across the biggest hurdle. Now, all we had to do was to put the prototype through the ringer. Although we had already established our fantastic motor core, the rest of the Magi train still required further development. It was important to ensure the trains were comfortable to ride. We also had to tackle the issue of noise that the trains would undoubtedly unleash upon its surroundings. Our train was already substantially quieter than traditional steam locomotives. However, traveling at such high speeds still generated a bothersome racket. The research team headed by Kaijin was currently working to address such concerns. We were breaking down these troubling problems to smaller, bite-sized pieces to tackle them in finer detail and find theoretical solutions. Meanwhile, I also hoped that they kept a record of the processes they took to resolve these issues. It was my wish that this journal would eventually become useful reference material for future research prospects. With that being said, since we had managed to develop the most challenging component, the Spirit Magic Core, it was fine to hand all train-related matters to Kaijin. For other recently initiated research projects, we spared no expense in their financing from the National Treasury. I had to appeal to Mayor Miles so he could allocate more funds. And so, I started to visit the research facility frequently. I even got quite familiar with the researchers, and had plenty of opportunities to discuss useful ideas. The knowledge I possessed as an otherworlder was all too intriguing to them. They often stopped to consult my opinions. Although, when they posed a question that I couldn't answer, I had Wisdom King Raphael-san handle it. By entrusting my problems to Raphael-sensei, whose ability rivaled that of a quantum computer, no matter how difficult the questions were, it could solve them with ease. And I have been putting it to use relentlessly as well. After finishing the day's work, it was also important to squeeze in some time for socializing at night. While not all the night shops were luxurious, they were still one of the go-to spots for researchers to take a breather from work. There, they could relax and engage in casual conversation. I, for one, was no exception. Sadly, I didn't get paid overtime. Pretty incredible stuff, not gonna lie. By the way, even though I mentioned that our budget had increased, we definitely did not spend the money on booze. It was all for the sake of research. Surely you guys understand what I mean. In addition, among Veldora, Ramirez, and myself, Ramirez was the one getting paid the most. Her salary was still very promising even after deducting the costs of running the labyrinth. She was compensated with 20% of the labyrinth revenues. It was no longer just the 2 gold coins we had estimated at the start. Nowadays, she could earn up to 20 gold coins or more. 20 gold coins were about 2 million Japanese yen per day. However, Ramirez was also responsible for paying the salaries of Trainee-san and her sisters, as well as Beretta. That said, she was still projected to profit nearly 100 gold coins by the end of the month. My daily allowance was the same as Veldora's, 1 gold coin a day from the National Treasury. Veldora was the labyrinth master, so Ramirez also rewarded him with extra pocket money. Since the labyrinth greatly depended on Veldora's magicules, the Treasury granted him special bonuses as well. That's why he actually got paid more than I did. In spite of this, I did keep some pocket change around. I had been investing in many varying fields, and the profits were incredibly favorable. Motivated by everyone's enthusiasm for work, I also decided to work hard. I was diligently trying to craft the bodies I had promised Diablo for his demon friends to possess. The person assisting me was Ramirez. In addition, I also couldn't forget to prepare bodies for Trainee-san's sisters. I needed Ramirez's opinions on that. Ramirez agreed immediately, though she was also insistent on me providing her with more subordinates. We have a lot of work to do, and not enough people to do it. With only Trainee-chan and Beretta, my job would be very challenging. Isn't this gal doing this just so she can brag about her having new servants? While that was my assumption at the time, my viewpoint changed after witnessing how hard Trainee-san and the others were working in the labyrinth. Ramirez wasn't just my assistant. She also had endeavors of her own. Namely, reconstructing the elemental colossus that Hinata disintegrated. The most vital component, its heart core, was already completed. In addition, I had also completed the outline and general sketch of the body. We did have an elemental colossus available for reference, though. We could always refer to that during research. However, the actual construction would require time. Moreover, Kaijin was busy with the Magitrain, while Vesta was focused on developing the magic armor soldier by himself. If Vesta were available, he'd come to assist Ramirez. However, it would certainly be awfully tiring for him. We would be incorporating the completed spirit magic core, so I also wanted to collect empirical data, and in order to achieve that, the more help we could get, the better. By the way, what has Veldora been up to? I don't know what Mentor has been up to. Every time I ask for his help to do some detailed tasks, he suddenly goes missing. I see, so Veldora's still not that reliable, huh? Yeah, now that she mentioned it, I felt the same way too. Veldora always appeared to be assiduously working, moving back and forth from place to place. I thought he was going to be a nuisance for everyone, but it also turned out not to be the case. Despite his appearances, he was actually quite knowledgeable, and had been of some help. He also seemed to enjoy being praised. That's why, instead of letting him labor as Ramirez's assistant, I might as well cut him some slack and let him do as he pleases. I get it. I'll try to do some recruiting on my own. Sorry for the trouble. After making this promise with Ramirez, I began to worry about the potential new candidates, and if they were right for the job. That's it for today, guys. See you at the next one. For further updates, please like, share, and subscribe. And do not forget to push the notification bell.